Hello everybody and welcome to Popcorn Saga YouTube. My name is Michael. I am your host. Now if you haven't heard of Popcorn Saga before, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. But a little bit of information, we are a podcast that rewatches TV shows and movies and we review them and we give them a rating out of 10 popcorns. I'll put up the graphic there to see our rating system. There you go, beautiful. We also decide on MVPs during each episode. Now, in this particular rewatch of the Infinity Saga, each one of us, myself and the co-hosts James and Tiff, we all get an MVP each. If we all vote on the same one, it's unanimous and there's one MVP. If two of us vote for one and one the other, there's two, and so on and so forth. Now, what you're about to listen to is audio only. That's why you can listen to it. And we are rewatching the Infinity Saga, the Marvel movies, chronologically. So how they happen in the story. So don't get mad that we're watching the first Avenger first, because that's the idea, because that happened first. I know it's not the order that they were released in the cinemas. This podcast was recorded in August 2019, released in October 2019. You can get it in its audio format as well, but we're coming to YouTube. Little re-release for 2021. So do enjoy the show. We'll go through the movie and then at the end we will give it a popcorn rating, MVPs, and tell you what's coming next. And so we are your companion. So if you're going to rewatch the Infinity Saga, do it this way. Do it with us and enjoy the podcast. Here we go. We've travelled back to 1942, the birth of America's backside. And joining me on this journey through the MCU is Tiffany Scott. How you doing, Tiff? You good?
I'm good.
And Mr. James William, how are you, sir?
Yeah, not bad. I'm good.
Let's get started. In the present day, 2011, scientists in the Arctic uncover an old frozen aircraft and we see Cap's shield for the first time. Anything of note that you took from this scene? How did it make you feel, Tiff?
I actually completely forgot that it started with that scene. I completely forgot it was a flashback, and the first thing we do actually see is them finding Cap or the shield.
Yeah.
I just was like, yeah, let's just get into this. Like, as soon as I saw the shield, I was like, yeah, boy.
Yeah, it definitely gives you the feels. I liked it.
Yeah, it gave me the feels, definitely.
You, James? I know you're a bit of a Captain America hard-on boy, so how did you feel about it?
Well, yeah, no, it was strange watching it through again, because I actually, the amount of times I've watched it, I keep flitting in, like, sort of half an hour, 45 minutes through and stuff, and catching it halfway through and watching the ending. But, yeah, I missed out that it was a flashback as well. I completely forgot that, and then, of course, I came flooding back, and the rest of the story.
Again, I hadn't watched it for a while either. The little thing I noticed is this little attention to details, just from a storytelling point of view, is when they say, how comes we haven't come across it before? And they literally say, like, well, that's easily explained because this landmass is always moving. So I just like little details like that, and then you get the shield. There's a lot of shield preempting in this film. The next scene, we are now back in March 1942. Nazi officer Johann Schmidt and his men steal a mysterious relic called the Tesseract, which possesses untold powers from the town of Tonsberg in German-occupied Norway. How did you feel about this, James? This first time we see Schmidt.
Yeah, so it kind of sets the tone for his performance more than anything else. I think he carries this film very well through his performance, especially because he's menacing and he plays the sort of genius element of it very well. And the little fact that Tonsberg is actually consistently mentioned through the MCU as well. I saw a little thing on the internet a while ago, but even the little town that it becomes in Endgame, that's also called Tonsberg.
Oh, really?
Quite a lot. Yeah.
Because as far as we know, no one knows how the Tesseract actually got there. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's the biggest thing I picked up on in that scene. I was like, hold on a minute. Because I get, it's been a long time since I've seen that movie, and I just completely forgot, the Tesseract, and I actually wrote down, find Tesseract in tree. Because in the scene, they kind of pull it out of this really cool tree-looking thing on the wall, and I think, is that significant? Have I forgotten something about that? I'd completely forgotten that the Tesseract was there, because I thought it was with Odin. So,
the Jewel of Odin's treasure room. And that really obvious snake eye poking out when he pushes the button. But the introduction of Schmidt, aka Red Skull, spoiler alert, just his car, right? I googled the name of it, the V16 Hydra Schmidt Roadster. Like it's the kind of vehicle that makes kids and people like me would rather be a villain than a good guy. Like, he's so cool. Like, from the off, he's just badass. And he struts in on that. And also something else that made me think of Austin Powers. Do you know, I can't remember what Austin Powers movie it is, but he's on the steamroller and the guy's just standing there screaming for ages and he wants to get out of the way. When Walder Frey from Game of Thrones and the caretaker from Harry Potter, is that the same actor? Am I right saying that?
Yes, David Bradley, the same actor who plays it.
He's standing there with his officer. And the whole room starts shaking, and his officer just stands right in front of the wall like an idiot, and then gets squashed.
There's always one token dead guy.
But that's really it. Like, I think sometimes stuff like that is it's good because it's taking the mick out of itself, but it's just such a movie stereotype. And so the Tesseract, the Jewel of Odin's treasure room, reason still unknown. Hydra knew of its power and wanted to use it to create advanced weapons. So Smith has the Tesseract, and that's why I want to doing it in this order as well, because from the off we're introduced to Infinity Stones. Spoiler alert. So
it gives you an early exposure.
That's the biggest thing that I thought, like, watching it, when you first see the Tesseract, I'm just like, oh my, because obviously, spoiler alert, but we all know the end, and I'm like, oh my god, there's a stone.
I know,
knowing what we know now, it's like,
that's why I was so happy.
No, don't take it.
I discovered this sort of to watch it in this chronological order from the story rather than the movie release. New York City, Steve Rogers is rejected.
Stephen O'Chin.
He's rejected for World War II military recruitment because of various health and physical problems. Now, before I go you two guys, I wrote the list down for Skinny Cap. Asthma Cap, Scarlet Fever Cap, Pneumatic Fever Cap, Cincinnati Cap, Chronic or Frequent Colds Cap, High Blood Pressure Cap, Heart Palpitations Cap, Easy Fatigability Cap, Heart Trouble Cap, Nervous Trouble of any sort, Household Contact with Tuberculosis, Parents, Siblings with Diabetes. Ooh, and we found out both his mum and dad are dead, which I never noticed that however many times I watched this. So Cap's got no parents. So how do we feel about Skinny Cap? Talk to me, Tiff.
Do you know what? I mean, obviously it's so funny to see him. He's just this tiny, scrawny little guy, but inside he is Cap. Like, what he becomes, and obviously we know that from the Doctor.
His character and his morals never really change.
Like his morals have always been the same. But just a personal thought, I actually didn't really like how tiny they made him.
Yeah, his head's too big.
That is the point. I get it, but personally, I just think they made him a little bit too small. But no, I mean, it's all purpose in it.
To your point for that, though, we watched it last night, and my mother-in-law, who's not really into her Marvel films, was watching it, and my father-in-law was intrigued to know what happened, and it was funny watching him because he was fully sold on the skinny guy, thinking it was a real person. And then my mother-in-law said, "Why does his head look too big for his body?" Because she's clever like that. And I was like, shut up, don't tell him. Because it was so funny how my father-in-law was just so completely sold. He was like, oh my god, he just kept laughing. He was so he was just found it hilarious how small and puny he was. But yeah, just all it's like the odds are stacked against him with all his illnesses. His parents are dead. And another thing I noticed as well, they kept showing the sign, and it's in further scenes as well, that it's illegal to falsify your information or whatever. Yeah. So the only thing Cap would do to break the law is fight for his country. So even in breaking the law, he's being noble.
Yeah.
So yeah, James, anything on Skinny Cap?
Well, yeah, as I say, it's just like that's basically made him grow a chin. and sort of definable jaw features. But it just looks so, like, especially looking back at it now, having seen, fully fledged Cap.
Yeah.
It's very strange, and it does look very strange as viewing. But yeah, obviously at the time it was perfect.
And then Skinny Cap is in the cinema, and you get the World War II propaganda videos, I guess they'd be called, which were legit, like basically selling you on war like it was a bathroom cleaner or something.
I think that did that very well as well.
Yeah.
They very much framed it very, very well in the fact that you looked at it and it looked like old-style New York, 1940s, 1950s. It was periodly well done.
And that's the stuff they used to
New
do.
York scenes.
It's crazy. And then the dudes that just played a damn cartoon, Cap gets into a fight, and we get the first... the foreshadowing of the shield with the bin lid, and he says,
"Oh yeah,"
his favourite line, "I can do this all day." And then we finally see young Bucky. Talk to me about Bucky, James.
Everything about, even just his entrance, like, I can't remember the guy's name. Was it Sebastian Stan? There you go, got it in front of me. Not claiming that. Yeah, he's a very good character casting. I'd probably say more than anything else, because he very much plays that character very well, and I feel like he's got invested within it. And yeah, from day one he was perfect for that role, and especially in the introduction, it lets everybody know of the relationship that they have straight off the bat. The jokes, they're best friends, because you think and do anything for each other.
And when you watch these movies back in, when they're happening in real time, there's so much gap between them, you sort of forget until you're reminded in the films the closeness of these two. And
because they get drifted apart. But then the various films moving forwards within the timeline, they get pushed further and further apart. But I think that's to help them settle as characters. Obviously, they start off together, and then they obviously come together towards the end as well. But they had to have that journey, I think, and it starts off very well here. Then
they go to the exhibition of future technologies. Him and Bucky, Barnes, Rogers. And Rogers again attempts to enlist. Right before he attempts to enlist again, we see Tony Stark's dad. Talk to me about him.
I really liked that, because obviously Iron Man had come out at this point, so we knew what Tony Stark was and what it was about. But I really liked how they made his dad pretty much just like him.
Yeah.
Like, he comes out and he's the showman, and he's a bit of a ladies' man, and he's a charmer, and I just really liked that, how they played that out, because obviously Tony in Iron Man is like,
but that's
I'm not close with my father, and I'm not like my father, but actually they are, and I like that they made that, and they obviously explore that in later films. But yeah, no, I really liked him, and I like the guy who plays him. I think he played it really well.
Yeah,
Dominic Cooper.
Yeah,
there we go, James with the knowledge. But even by watching this movie first, and obviously knowing the Iron Mans and stuff, I think it makes you look forward to seeing them more, because now you've seen Tony's dad and stuff.
Yes.
By watching this first, I think it's made the film, I liked it anyway, but it's so much better. Go to the expose. The girl from Emmerdale's there that went on to play Queen Victoria. I didn't even know she was in it. She's in it for about 2 seconds. And
got quite a lot of young British actresses and actors and stuff that randomly pop out all the way through. It's quite cool.
And right, so then Dr. Abraham Erskine allows Rogers to enlist, even though that's when they're sitting in the room and the sign's above Rogers saying it's illegal. And he is recruited into the Strategic Scientific Reserve as part of a super soldier experiment under Erskine. And here we go, Colonel Chester Phillips, Tommy Lee motherfucking Jones, and British agent Peggy Bad Motherfucker Carter. And, right, this is probably one of my favourite bits in the movie, actually, when he goes onto the assault course and stuff, and they're not convinced. And, yeah, so just talk to me about that.
The original bit. I mean, the original bit, I think, probably plays elements of the film a lot more in the fact that he sees this guy and he sees that he's trying more than anything else to do the good thing and to do the right thing, and he wants to be able to stand up for everyone. And I think that's and he sees something within Cap, obviously young Cap, and I think he invests in that, and it starts the relationship that they have very well, and gets them very much together off the same page. If I know what you're here for, come and give it to me.
But I'll tell you what I did like about the whole, the montage of him training and all that sort of stuff. and I actually did write it down because I loved it. I thought it was so funny, where he outsmarts them all with the pole.
Oh yeah,
he has to get the flag, and
Yeah.
it just takes out. Yeah, and I just thought that was brilliant.
I was just going to read that bit. Phillips is unconvinced by Erskine's claims that Rogers is the right person for the procedure. As Rogers really struggles with the training, he outsmarts them all, grabs the flag, and he jumps on the grenade. But just before this, we're introduced to Peggy Carter. And the douchebag in the lineup says he's got some moves that they can try out or she'll like or something, and she just douches the geezer in the face. And off the bat, we'll talk about it further on, but even, from the first scene, she's just awesome. Like I love that as well. And it's not even, and I don't talk about stereotypes and women power and men and all that. I don't want to get deep into that, but just it doesn't feel like it's done to please feminists. It's just that's her character and it's awesome, and that's how it should be.
Yeah, I agree with that actually, because this was made. This is quite an old film, and it wasn't. Yeah, the whole sort of the she is just her character. She's cool. She's tough. And she don't take no shit, and she's awesome. It doesn't really like her.
Feel like future films, I won't name them because we'll talk about it at the time, where it seems it's done to please a certain demographic.
Yes, yeah, that's what I was trying to get at. Yeah.
So gets the flag. Carter's noticed and likes his courage. Tommy Lee Jones still not. Tommy Lee Jones, aka Colonel Phillips or Chester Phillips, if you want to be specific. He gets all the best lines because it's Tommy Lee Jones. The one personally escort Hitler to the gates of hell, which every time I hear it, I think it's phenomenal. And the night before the treatment, Erskine reveals to Rogers that Schmidt underwent an imperfect vision of the procedure and suffered permanent side effects. Ooh, foreshadowing a bit of someone with a different coloured face. And also, this is another one of my favourite lines, and it's so Cap. It's brilliant. I don't want to kill anyone. I don't like bullies, no matter where they are from.
Love that.
Just end the film there.
Down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all he's ever wanted.
Right, Schmidt and Dr. Arnim Gianfranco Zola, it's not really Gianfranco Zola, harness the energies of the Tesseract, intending to use the power to fuel Zola's inventions, mounting an offence that will change the world. Schmidt discovers Erskine's location and dispatches an assassin, Heinz Kruger, great name, to kill him. Even in this small scene, like Schmidt, when he's just working out the Tesseract and turning the power up, and I don't know, James, talk to me about it.
I think that he's very menacing, and he does that very well without being overtly evil. He's got that whole there's something else going on here behind the eyes, and there's always something else going on behind in the picture. And
the best villains are always just in what they're doing. They think they're doing the right thing. They think they're in the right.
They all have meaning behind it. If you've got no message and you've got no reason to be there, you fall flat inevitably, and that's where the MCU villains, I think, probably are head and shoulders above lots of others. The fact of you can all understand where they're coming from in some aspects. Obviously, he's a bit more radical because he's got the Nazi agenda behind him as well. But yeah, he for me is right up there in the top actual MCU villains.
Yeah. And I've got this other bit because I can't remember sort of where it fits in, so it might jump ahead a bit. But it's another Schmidt scene when we go back to him and Hitler's sent his dudes to come and talk to him because they think he's crazy. And they've discovered that Berlin's on the map. Schmidt says it's not about the Aryan race or anything. And then he takes them out with his weapon just so casually.
Well, yeah.
See the Tesseract in its full force.
Yeah. He was top of my list, man. I mean, he's not anymore. I'm not spoiling it. He was my favourite, but he's not. But he was briefly.
That's just sad too. He is so good. In every film I've ever seen him in, he immediately makes you like him. There's just something about his bald head that just makes me think, you seem like a great guy. We got along well. We'll go for a bit.
So then we come to the moment. Erskine subjects Rogers to the super soldier treatment, injecting him with a special serum and dosing him with Vita Rays. After Rogers emerges from the experiment, taller and more muscular and proper buff, an undercover Kruger kills Erskine and flees. Rogers pursues and captures Kruger, but the assassin avoids interrogation by committing suicide with a Cyanide capsule. Well, that's a lot to chew on. So he has the treatment, and there was another little attention to detail, which I like when I'm watching things. It's someone's there from, I don't know, because they had to get permission to use that much power to generate the machine, and they just cover that little base. Little things like that I like. And then he comes out, and then all of a sudden Peggy Carter fancies him, but
of course.
So did I, and anyone would. So even that again, like, it's not subjecting her to, oh, look at this hot man coming out. Like, everyone in the room was probably like, oh my god. And and then he actually
like, wow.
Chris Evans actually looks like that, so that's crazy.
Some of us get all the cards.
And then when Kruger comes in, and he has two other guys with him as well, Peggy gets 2 of the kills before Cap doesn't actually get to kill him, does he? Because he chews on the cyanide tablet, and
he wouldn't have killed him anyway.
That's a good point. Yeah, I didn't pick up on that, actually.
So Peggy shoots the first guy, and then she chases the other guy, and there's an awesome shot, shoots the driver. So she takes out 2 of them, and then
yes.
And also, I only noticed this watching it yesterday. The streets of New York that Cap's running through, spoiler alert, is the same part of New York where he may or may not wake up at the end of this movie.
Oh,
nice.
And
well,
and then even little touches as well. I don't know. I can't. Maybe we'll try and figure out why they did it. But the little boy gets thrown in the river, and he goes to save him, and the kid's like, "No, I'm cool. I can swim."
Yeah, I can swim. I'm cool.
But again, it's just like.
I think that was just really to psych out anyone who thought it was going to be like every other kind of film.
Yeah.
And I think it was definitely meant to just switch up the mode. Like I just say, like most kids like with 5 or 6 can swim by that time.
Yeah, like save me.
It's one of them horrible movie details that's just crept around the whole legs for too.
But that's
it was good that they got rid of it.
That's what I liked about it, because I remember at the time that this movie come out, there was a fear that because it's Captain America, it's going to be super cheesy. But even
exactly. That was the main fear.
But even little things like that, step away from that, it's fine. It's really cool. Right, so with Erskine dead and the super soldier formula lost, Senator Brandt has Rogers tour the nation in a colourful costume as Captain America to promote war bonds while scientists study him and attempt to reverse engineer the formula. So, how do we feel about this when he's going on tour?
Oh, it's so funny. It's just so funny that he just becomes like... Because, I swear that's what originally Captain America was, wasn't it? Wasn't Captain America just a propaganda...
Yeah, that's what originally Marvel released him as in the 1940s and very, very early. He's the longest running, I think, if I remember rightly, in character within their storyline and in their universe. And he was propaganda. He was trading cards. It was all that kind of thing that you see in the later films as well. That's what he was.
So that whole like montage of him doing all just being the performer and being the guy in tights.
Yeah, he's legit movie star in a comic book. It is
actually what all that Captain America was originally. So I really like it. I think it's really funny and it brings some comic humour to the film, where obviously there's some serious shit going down. So you need that humour, you need that relief. So it's cool. I really like it.
And it was, I think as well, he was still 100% committed to it. It didn't care. He was very good at it, believed in the cause. Obviously, he didn't want to do it, but he gave it everything. And also, I think it was a good roundabout way to sort of introduce the costume, because how do you, why are you going to dress up like that? And I think another clever way to get past that cheesiness of Captain America.
Yeah.
So yeah,
and I like it that, like mentioned in the costume, I like that actually. Yeah, like it starts to grow on him. Like he's like, I'm wearing tights, but actually starts to like it, and that eventually, ends up as him.
And he gets he gets that little shield as well.
He jazzes it up a bit, but the premise is still the same.
Yeah, and it comes from doing that, and he gets the shield as well. Right, so I spoke about Schmidt killing Nazis. That was awesome. And in 1943, while on tour in Italy performing for active servicemen, and he proper flops on stage, bring out the girls. Rogers learns that Barnes' unit was MIA in a battle against Schmidt's forces. Refusing to believe that Barnes is dead, Rogers has Carter and engineer Howard Stark fly him behind enemy lines to mount a solo rescue attempt. Now, again, Peggy Carter steps up. If it wasn't for her, he wouldn't have gone and done this, because he's sitting there drawing a dancing monkey,
And she says, so what, that's the only two options you've got, to be a lab rat or a dancing monkey. You were made for more than that, or you were meant to do more than that or something. So yeah, so then he goes and does it, and she helps him.
I just feel like it's really sets up their relationship, basically, because I mean that it's appealing to the girl in me, and I love a romance story, but I just love that they need each other. Like, he needs her in that scene to come in and be like, no, listen, like, you've got other options. You know, like you say, I just like that. It sets them up like they're meant to be together. And I think that's a nice little sort of...
Yeah, and they do it without any sort of romantic sort of, insinuating.
Like, it's not cheesy. It's just like,
these people
are meant to be together, but it's not overkill, you know?
So Rogers infiltrates the fortress of Schmidt's Nazi division Hydra, freeing Barnes and the other prisoners. Rogers confronts Schmidt, who removes the master reveal, a red skull visage that earned him the name the Red Skull. Schmidt escapes and Rogers returns to base with the 3 soldiers. The only thing I took from this was it's another like typical heroic scene, cheesy but worked, when he's like jumping across the thing through the fire.
Well, for me anyway, looking at it again, is you get to see the biggest reason why Hugo even didn't come back, and you get to see that skull. He plays it very well, and he is very well made up in terms of makeup and stuff like that, and the big reveal is ominous, and it works on so many different levels of the actual reveal. And yeah, it's just unfortunate that makeup made Hugo Weaving never want to come back, because he's so good in that role.
Do you not like the skull, the way it looks?
No, he doesn't like being in the makeup and all that kind of thing. If I remember rightly, that was his main reason for not wanting to come back or do another one at any stage. Was he doesn't like it at all. He doesn't like his performance in it all. But either way, he doesn't want to play Red Skull anymore.
Really? Was he stupid? So what? Because you
That's
can't.
such a shame, though, isn't it?
Yeah, he plays it very well. His
performance is so good that it's just crazy to me how he doesn't like it, because it's so good. But
we get another heroic scene when they have the triumphant return, and Cap turns up when everyone thinks he's dead, and he saved everyone. And Sergeant Phillips is grilling Carter, and she's sticking up for herself. And there's another little nod to Tony's dad as well, Mr. Stark, where Phillips says they can't touch Stark because basically he's the weapons manufacturer for the US Army, basically.
Yeah.
In the weapons business.
Like, he's basically untouchable. Like that just gives you a glimpse in it of how powerful he is, and how powerful the Starks are, and the Stark industry is.
How key it is.
Even back then in the 40s, like, they're just that's cool. That was a cool little moment.
So Rogers recruits Barnes, Dum Dum Dugan, Gabe Jones, Jim Morita, James Montgomery, Fallsworth, I bet that's a go with a Tash, and Jax Dernier to attack other known Hydra bases. Stark outfits Rogers with the advanced equipment, most notably a circular shield made of vibranium, a rare, nearly indestructible metal. Talk to me about it, James.
It's nice to see how he picks it up, and the fact that it wasn't even taken as a serious candidate by, obviously, what's his name? Howard Stark. It wasn't even taken seriously by him at all. And obviously this is the most expensive one, but the fact that Peggy came up immediately and just shot at it 3 times was so good as well.
Is that because he'd kissed...
yeah, because he got with, what's the face from Game of Thrones? Yeah, Natalie Dormer, whatever her name is.
Yeah. Marjorie Tyrell.
Yeah, that's it, because he got with Marjorie Tyrell, and she basically jumped on him.
What a ballbag. Oh yeah, that was what I was going to say as well. Going back a bit, when he recruits all these guys at the bar, aren't they? Having a good old knees up, and obviously Cap doesn't get drunk. And it's the only time, and it's done in such a good way, where Peggy Carter comes in her little red dress, and she's not sexualised like you'd expect from these sort of movies.
Yeah.
But she's still hot in a classy way. She's a lady, and Cap has a rare moment of weakness with Natalie Dormer. So no wonder.
And even then, she threw herself on him. It's not entirely Cap's fault there.
Oh no, it's not. Of course, it's not.
But I mean, he did. But I did take note that he hung on a little bit too long there, in my opinion.
So yeah, Peggy had the right to shoot at him. Lucky that shield worked.
Yeah, without a
Right, so Rogers and his team sabotage various harbour operations. In 1945, so they're going on and doing this for a couple of years then.
Yeah.
The team assaults a train carrying Zola, not Gianfranco. Rogers and Jones succeed in capturing Zola, but Barnes falls from the train to his assumed death. Bucky. He falls from a great height, from a fast-moving train.
That is very comic booky. It's probably the only bit in the whole thing, but the fact that he survived that, even...
Does he survive it? Who knows?
No.
Well, yeah, who knows? Yeah, but no, I mean that was I'd completely forgotten that bit. I don't know how, but I'd just forgotten that happens, and I was just so upset. I was like,
and Cap's torn up. That's his buddy, man, and it sets up a lot.
Because I love Bucky. I think he's awesome.
Yeah, and it's one of the key threads that will come through this whole saga is the Bucky and Cap relationship, and not that he'll realise, but that's the last time we'll see him for a long time.
For a long time.
He'll be asleep. He'll be asleep. He might be asleep for most of it. Right, using the information extracted from Zola, the final Hydra stronghold is located, and Rogers leads an attack to stop Schmidt from using weapons of mass destruction on major American cities. If I remember this correctly, he labelled all the bombs, didn't he, with the city names?
Yeah, he did.
Yes,
And we have the awesome chase in the car. Are they in Schmidt's car? Is Phillips driving Schmidt's car?
Tommy Lee is, he's driving the car.
Yes.
With Peggy in it. And, just before that, actually, I remember this. They're fighting off the soldiers through all the corridors and the hallways, and Cap throws the shield to stop the door. And you think I couldn't remember, I thought it was the last time he was going to see Peggy. I was like, no, because the door shuts, but then obviously they see each other again in the car.
That was good.
Yeah, it was very good, to be fair. It was well
that
done.
was good. And that's it for Popcorn Saga. Tune in next week. Right, so then Rogers climbs aboard Schmidt's aircraft as it takes off. During the subsequent fight, the Tesseract container is damaged. Schmidt physically handles the Tesseract, which opens a wormhole into space, sucking him into it. The Tesseract burns through the plane and is
not
lost.
that we know, to be fair.
And is lost.
Yeah, we don't know where he's gone.
We don't know where he's gone. We don't know what's happened. He's just picked up a box and all of a sudden he's gone.
He's gone, and the Tesseract burns and is lost to the ocean. Now,
yes.
Just a little chat on Schmidt. I want to give him a special little mention. Even though this is cool, it's a nice little fight scene, whatever, and the Tesseract, and you obviously knowing what we know and seeing what we've seen in future movies with bad guys and the fights on a bigger stage, I felt like Schmidt deserved a bigger stage. I felt like he was very contained in this movie. I don't know, I just felt like he should have been a bigger threat to more people. And then maybe he drops a bomb on a city. I know you've got...
Well, you forget they had to change... Well, if he did... Well, he said he was contracted to multiple films. I had a chance to look into it. He's contracted to multiple films, but he just didn't want to do it. Him as an actor didn't feel it right. And he doesn't want to do those kind of films. So you think they probably had to rip up and change a lot of what they were planning on doing with Cap during the journey. And it was probably being set up for a payoff a bit earlier than when it was.
Oh, really?
But through reasons that were outside of their control, they had to miss it.
Oh, okay, that's good to know, because that's one thing I always remember, that he's so good in this film. I felt I didn't get enough, and even though it was a good way to go, a Tesseract doing whatever it did to him, it was, I don't know, if you think of what Loki...
It was unsatisfying.
Yeah.
To anybody who actually holds this film in terms of where they are and the actual whole entirety of the timeline, in terms of the Infinity Saga, if you hold this film as highly as I do especially, and some other people that I know, then it is kind of dissatisfying, the fact that obviously they had to change so much, but you kind of have to understand it as a fan, because you can't be
it's good to know these things, because considering how well they are at telling these stories, and that explains a lot. It's just, before I knew that, I was just thinking about some of the other villains. You think of Loki and Thanos, and you think the stage they get to perform their villainry on is so huge. And
same thing with Killmonger, though. Killmonger's, like, Michael B. Jordan and Killmonger is a powerhouse performance. A villain.
We'll talk about that when we get to Black Panther.
You ain't seen Black Panther? No, you haven't seen Black Panther.
Yeah. I haven't seen Doctor Strange. Anyway, back to Cap, because we're not that far through his journey. I feel like Schmidt's contained to small rooms and small spaces all the time in this film. It just feels like it needs to be let loose. But now I know Hugo Weaving just wants to be an elf in Middle Earth, or Mr.
No, he wants to be V for Vendetta.
Or Agent Smith. So. Yeah. Seeing no way to land the plane without a risk of detonating its weapons, Rogers crashes it into the Arctic. Stark later.
I was dissatisfied by that as well. You know, kind of feel like Cap's a bit smarter than that. But obviously that's basically what happened anyway in real life, in the actual comic books and stuff like that. But yeah, I kind of feel like he could have quite easily found a different way to have done that. He's over the Arctic, just drop all the.
But then you see they had to though, didn't they? Because for the point of the story.
Exactly. Yeah, they had to tie it up in some way.
Yeah, but also from Cap's point of view, the plane's going down. He makes a last-minute decision. What else could he do?
Exactly.
He doesn't know.
The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
Yeah, and he doesn't necessarily know where he is. So, who knows?
No. Exactly. Yeah, but oh my god, heartbreaking.
He just turned the autopilot on.
Right,
I saw him do that. The Red Skull just turned autopilot on. He could have gone back and turned it off and just flown it somewhere else. I'm not gonna lie, like that is really quite annoying. So I noticed that, and it is so glaringly bad at this point. If I missed anything, by always let me know. But yeah, if that does happen the way I think I saw it, then.
So you're telling me he could have turned off autopilot, saved everyone, lived happily ever after with Peggy, and we would have no Infinity Saga?
Potentially, but I haven't watched it through. I'd have to watch that bit again. But yeah, at the end, I definitely saw him put.
We got this far, and you're killing this movie.
Try not to.
Yeah, come on, James.
No, it's good. It's good. We've agreed on too much so far, but that's fine. I think he did the right thing.
I'm gonna have to go and watch the ending again just to make sure that I didn't see that.
Captain America, you idiot!
On that.
You know he's legit going to do that as well. As soon as we go, oh god.
For a moment, he was skinny Cap, and he couldn't control the aircraft. So, Tiff, did you make notes about his conversation with Peggy?
Oh, I didn't make notes.
Did he leave her a voicemail? Did they chat?
I was too busy crying. Okay,
You were crying.
I was crying.
Because he says he'll pick her up. He says he'll pick her up at 8, won't he?
Right. So yes, he says to Peggy, they arrange a date, which is really sweet because they both know that they're not going to be there on that day. But so they arrange a date, and he says, "Yeah, I'll meet you there at 8 o'clock," and she says, "Don't you dare be late."
So credits roll, and then. Rogers awakens in a 1940s style hospital room, having a radio broadcast of a baseball game that he attended in 1941. Rogers deduces that something is wrong. He flees outside and finds himself in present-day Times Square, where S.H.I.E.L.D. director Nick Fury informs him that he has been asleep for nearly 70 years. In a post-credits scene, Fury approaches Rogers and proposes a mission with worldwide ramification. End. Caps in 2011 in modern day. How did we like that as a post-credit scene, watching it again and at the time?
It's good because you need the way to tie him in. Obviously, especially during the early years of the MCU, you see it, having watched the possible other films, obviously, depending on release and order and all that. You see that they're very much leaning towards the Avengers initiative, and they do that in their other films as well. And it just sets a stage perfectly for what's coming. This is what's expected, this is what's going to happen. It just gets you geared up for the future, and I think it makes you want to watch everything about it. It's very good in a way it encapsulates that.
Yeah, perfect. So, James, MVP, and I don't know, just sum up the film and give it a popcorn rating out of 10, and remember 0.5s count. So, MVP.
So MVP, even watching it through again, Hugo Weaving, he's such a good performance.
So, Red Skull.
I don't think there's anybody else possibly that maybe would have played it in the same way. I think just his voice talent as
Red
well,
Skull,
and the accents. Yeah, Hugo Weaving, Red Skull, definitely is my favourite performance within it. Very very closely followed by Stanley Tucci, but that's just because I love the guy. If you're listening, I'll go for a beer anytime you like. But yeah, no, solid 8, just because I love it so much. It never goes down anyway, so it's always going to be up there. Even though I may have potentially ruined it for myself with the autopilot thing.
Oh no, don't do it. Don't watch it again. Right. So Red Skull and 8 popcorns and just So Tiff, MVP review and popcorn rating. MVP.
Right. MVP is what was his name? Erskine, Dr. Erskine.
Dr. Erskine. Okay, I like it. Tell me why.
He was my favourite, and yes, he's not in it for very long, but I just loved his character. I loved the way that he kind of mentored Cap and just kind of got him ready to become Cap in a way.
More than anything else.
Believed in him and just saw the potential in him when no one else did. I just loved their dynamic and their relationship. So he's my favourite. Very, very sad when he died.
Summary of the movie, just in a few words.
Of the movie, it's just a great introduction into Cap. It's a great way for you to just fall in love with this character, and you're excited to see more of him. And I don't know, I just loved it. I just thought it was really well done. Enjoyed the story. I love the period of like World War II and that sort of time period anyway, so that's an extra bonus of the movie. I just thought it was awesome. And my popcorn rating would be, I'm going to go a bit low. I'm going to go 7. I'm going to go 7 popcorn.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, so my MVP is Peggy Carter.
Oh,
Strong female character and vital to the plot of this movie, and not just to the character of Captain America and their relationship. She's key in Cap finally going off to save the day. She keeps her eye on him during the training. She says, and like I said it earlier, but when she says to him, there are only 2 options, to be a lab rat or that dancing monkey, you were meant for more. Even though Cap's got his morals and all this stuff, she inspires him to do more, and I think without her, Cap doesn't save the day. And again, like we were talking about earlier, in the modern climate where there's a big push, and rightly so, for women to have the same opportunities as men, which is great. Men, women, black, white, everyone should be given the same opportunities, and the best person should be given that opportunity, whatever they look like and whatever genitals they have. But even 9 years ago, there was probably loads, but Peggy Carter was portrayed perfectly, and not just because she's a woman. She was, every scene she was in, I just thought she was awesome. She stood out so much for me. So a very well written movie, considering the task of something cheesy like Captain America to the big screen. Just the little details bring it together nicely for me. Even the way they get the costume in with the what we were talking about with the dancing and being a movie star and a comic book, it just gave the suit relevance, and the not so subtle Shield references work perfectly. You'd assume that there'd be one of them, but it's great, simple but effective, excellent character building, and just the movie itself, it's good lines, all mostly for Tommy Lee Jones. I wish they'd done more with Schmidt, but now James has explained maybe why. Like I said already, I felt like he was a bit confined and he just deserved a bigger stage. But a special mention for him because he was nearly my MVP, but I just don't think there was enough of him in the film. Solid movie, establishing Cap, like you said, Tiff, as the white meat babyface hero, with a solid backstory of what's to come. And I really enjoyed revisiting this movie. My popcorn rating is 7.5. Just because I did enjoy it, but it could have been better, and also I know what's coming, so...
it's hard,
unfortunately, when you're rating this film, but
I'm solid rating it an 8 because I know what's coming.
Yeah, but,
I know everything. Like there's a couple that are going to be very, very low.
But it's just I wanted to judge it on that watch alone and how it made me feel then, even though it is hard with preconception. But I was on an 8, but doing it again and really thinking about the Schmidt stuff just brings it down to a 7.5 for me. And obviously the scale of the movie, even though it worked in isolation, 7.5 is a great rating. So there we go. It's in the books. Captain America, the first Avenger, 7.5 popcorns from me, 7 from Tiff, 8 from James. Now, remember when you was at school and you said, I'm never going to use maths? Well, here we go. Eat my perpendicular rotational symmetry, because I'm about to work out the mean. So 7 plus 8 plus 7.5 equals 22.5 divided by 3. So, Captain America is officially a 7.5. Because what we're going to do at the end, we're going to try and rate these movies based on these ratings, but I'd like to get the average from all three of us, and it's a 7.5 because mathematics said so. So that's it. That's one captain in the bag. America's arse is officially slapped and ready to go. Next time, your assignment is another captain, Captain Marvel.
Hold it.
We're going back.
Yeah.
We're going back to the 90s, which I assumed would probably be one of my favourite movies. I need to listen to the soundtrack because I bloody love the 90s.
So, the 90s were the best.
Tiffany and James, thank you very much for coming back to World War II with me and reviewing Captain America the First Avenger.
Thank you very much. Loved it. And I'm looking forward to Captain Marvel.
Yes, I shall see you next time when we travel deep into the universe and we meet Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel.